Hello. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. How are you? I'm excited. It is a Press Row Hangout / Doddcast crossover extraordinaire spectacular November edition. Yes, it's November. Hey, everybody. Rich Grisham here. Very excited. Got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Really glad that you are listening and or watching live. Got three of my good friends here tonight. Up first from Washington, Seattle's biggest Seahawks fan, Mr. Brian Weedeye from Pastapadre. Brian, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I had a request to debut Rocky on the show instead of me.
Yes.
So there's Rocky. He is apparently getting ready for a nap, which is typically what happens when I begin talking in a podcast or the Hangout. So, I'm happy to be back, though, and we got some fun stuff to talk about tonight. And also, I have a question for TJ. If it's November, that means it's Movember. Is his beard coming back?
I shaved this morning in preparation of the whole thing coming back. Yours is looking mighty fine from what I can see.
I'm planning to shave in like 2 days because I don't give a crap about that. But it's been a long time since I shaved like cleanly though.
And that voice you all heard was Movember's own, New Jersey's own, that sports gamer, Mr. TJ Lauerman. TJ, how are you, sir?
Rich, I'm extremely tired. I cannot wait till tomorrow's extra hour of sleep. And is that extra hour of sleep, or is it now I can stay up till 3 in the morning, play video games, and then go to sleep and be like, well, it's 2 o'clock. We're good, right? It's cool.
Well, if you had a kid, that kid would just be waking up an extra hour early. So not only would you not get an extra hour of sleep, you somehow still lose an hour of sleep when you have young children. It's bizarre how that happens. So
suckers game.
I have faith in you, TJ. And we have also tonight from Dodd Scientifics and the Doddcast, Mr. Pete Dodd. Pete, how are you, my friend?
I am good. I come bearing a message. Earlier tonight, I was doing the raid in Destiny with the Dodd Scientifics clan, and at the end, we were just talking with each other after we finished, and I was like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for a podcast tonight. And I forgot who it was. I think it was DJ Funk Monk, but it might have been someone else. Was like, you have to tell Rich Grisham that he is totally garbage. He's totally garbage at Destiny, and then everyone was like, yeah. And then they went on for about 5-10 minutes about how you tweeted after that video that Destiny's boring. You played 2 minutes of the tutorial.
Right.
Declared the game to be boring.
Yes.
Which is like going into Madden Skills Trainer and doing the out route and being like, this stinks.
Rich Grisham is a professional video games reviewer. I don't think we should judge him. If he thinks the game is boring, I agree.
I'm not saying what they're saying. I'm just passing it on, and I agree with them.
When we were recording that, I think I said something, the first few minutes, the first few hours are not terribly exciting. But especially if you played the alpha or the beta before, you're playing the same stuff. But Rich was like, okay, I've had enough, and we were like 3 minutes in or something at that point.
Yeah, I have played thousands of hours of first-person shooters over my life. I've played every Halo. Not everyone, that's not true. I played many Halos, I played many Calls of Duty, I played many of basically every major genre. They bore me. I'm instantly bored when I'm running around shooting stuff. I can't help it, and it was not a criticism of Destiny per se. It was me saying I can already tell that this game is going to bore me. And
you were garbage though. There's like 45 seconds where you're staring at this light rod on the wall, and Pasta's like, you just keep going. You don't have to just go, and you're like, what? Okay. And then sights once, and then you never aim down the sights again. You're just putting bullets all over.
Yes, it's true.
There was a point where he was going in circles. I'm like, just stop going in circles.
I was just trying to get a very sense of how it worked because I very quickly wanted to stop being bored. You gotta understand. It's boring.
That's the problem.
Oh, so that would have been my exact same reaction no matter how I was playing it. It was more about trying out share play, which we are actually going to talk about
Right.
in a few minutes. So hey, let's. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mentioned we're going to talk about share play. We're actually going to talk about the new PlayStation 4 update because for some of the good it's done, it's clearly doing some bad. We're definitely going to talk about NBA Live and NBA 2K15. I've been playing a lot of both, and I have some stuff to talk about related to that. We got some great tweets from listeners and viewers, but we're going to start off with a little bit of kind of what we've been doing on the Hangout lately, which is talking about a couple of the things that we've been playing together. We're going to start off in the FIFA Press Row Premier League. It is really moving along now. We are in the match weeks 7 and 8 that we are completing right now. Most of the matches are done. We're still waiting on a couple that I think are getting played tomorrow. So let's just go around the horn real quick. TJ, how is your club doing in the Premier League?
Doing great. I don't have any problems. I started having some connectivity issues last night when I was trying to play Darby I think he's in like Japan.
Yes.
First time I've had any weird network issues, so we got to draw and I got to win. So I'll take those 4 points and be on my merry way. But Danny Welbeck's playing good.
And your club is
Arsenal.
Right.
Domination.
And you are at the top of the table. Is that correct?
I'm either at the top or tied at the top, I think.
Okay.
I think Aston Villa is up there.
Okay.
Oh, I play them tomorrow. I am going to tank.
Pete Dodd, how is your Press Row Premier League going so far?
It's been pretty awful. I'm having a bad fall in terms of being good at sports games. Not that I usually am good, but I seem to be especially crappy at all of them, which will, if we bring up the Press Row Madden League, that is also somewhere I'm struggling. I'm having a lot of fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. You and I specifically had some pretty amazing matches.
True.
And I feel like, I don't know, I'm good at the game offline. I'm doing better than you, like playing on pro against the computer, but when I get online, everyone's destroying me.
And you are Liverpool, correct?
Yes.
And you are currently, and I'm not trying to be whatever, but currently TJ's at the top and you are at the bottom of the table right now. But you have some opportunities.
I am a bottom, TJ is the top, yes.
Mm-hmm. True. Brian Weeder, how is your Press Row Premier League going so far?
It's been utterly frustrating. No, I'm right. I'm just barely above Pete. It's weird. It's like I feel like I've played all but one match. I feel like I've played well, and I'm just not getting the results out of it. I'm struggling. I'm creating plenty of opportunities, but I just can't get them into the back of the net. So and I play people like you, Rich, who score off their back heel in the box, and also get penalties called for penalties. Yeah, but it's still fun. But I just feel like I'm creating more opportunities than my opponents are, and I'm not coming away with anything to show for it. So yeah, I have 3 points at this. I have 1 win, and everything else is a loss at this point.
You sound very much like a typical Premier League manager, right? Who's not where things are going. I was like, we're playing well, we're creating chances, we're just not quite getting the results that we're looking for. Very well said.
Yeah, it's the truth though. I mean, you felt it, Rich. You felt the pressure I put on, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You won the first one 1-0, and the second one I drew close to 2-1, and then you scored one to put it away. But yeah, I mean they've all been fun, and they haven't felt like blowouts. But then you look at my goal differential, and it's awful. So who knows?
Yeah.
Right,
that's how I feel too. I don't feel like I'm getting dominated, but then I look at the table and the goal differential, and I'm like, I'm getting dominated. It's pretty bad. I think I actually have hit more crossbars than I have scored goals. Can we put that in somewhere.
Yeah, you are Swansea City, Brian. I am Everton, and I have enjoyed a bit more success in the last 4 matches than I did in the first 4. TJ kind of had his way with my club, and but then I won. I split with Kat Bailey, which was quite a victory for me, just because she's quite good at FIFA, and. Then I was able to take 2 from you, Brian. 1-0 Everton over Swansea, and then 3-1 with penalty kick and a ridiculous behind the back goal. And then I put in a substitute, and the substitute scored. And there are a few feelings as in FIFA as good as when you put in a sub and then the sub scores. You're like, yes, I did something smart. I love it. And what's also interesting is that, in addition to the Premier League that we're going through, and we've got 6 matches left after this, the last week, or after the 2 games this week, we have 6 collective matches left. But in between, we're also going to be having the DSFA Cup, which is going to feature all of the clubs in our Premier League, as well as at least 2 and potentially 3 more clubs who will be vying to get into the Premier League next year. So we're going to have that going on as a side competition, which is going to be interesting. What's that, Pete?
I said, am I going to be relegated?
Well, if you want to find out now live on the internet, the answer is it's entirely possible. We never really discussed that at the start of the year, but
we did not. We did not discuss this. This was just sprung on me right now.
No, there will be no relegation. There will be no relegation this year. But going into next year, we may look to have a little fun with that. We had 2 full leagues. Like, I wouldn't mind getting relegated to another league, but if you're relegating me from just not playing,
I believe you have to trade in your copy of the game.
That will not happen this season. But going into next year, we're going to look to continue to come up with new and fun and interesting ways just to have it be more like European football. And the DSFA Cup in-season tournament is one of those things. The big thing, of course, is there are 2 things, right? To have a successful league, number 1, you have to be able to have fun, which means you have to have players who are of the same mindset, and everybody has the same sort of expectations. And then number 2, the people in the league have to actually play their games. And the biggest concern that you get when your groups of people get from small to medium to large is that people play their games. It's no fun to be in a league with players who don't play their games. And that's why I always say at the beginning of any of these competitions, I'm not trying to be whatever, right? Everybody's busy. I'm busy. You're busy. We're all busy. We all have things. But if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. And you have to say, I'm going to play 1 game a week, or I'm going to play 1 Madden game every 3 to 4 days, most of the time, right? And if you're not, that's fine. Tell people. That's the only way to be successful at these kind of things, is to have people that either understand that, yes, I can play a game, or if I can't, I'm going to make sure that the people know, and so it's not going to be a problem. Speaking of, our Madden League is also really heated up. We are heading into the final week of the season. Lots of stuff going on. I don't even know where to start. We'll start with you, TJ Lauerman. What is your situation heading into the final game of the regular season of the Press Row Madden League?
Dominating 10-2. No, 10-2. How? What week is this?
Not possible.
11-13-2, something like that. I only got 2 losses. I was trying to turn my PlayStation on so I could find out what I actually have, and now that thing just doesn't really want to work. What week is this? 16?
Yes.
13-2.
But there was a bye week too. You have 1 game left.
You would be 12-3 if you haven't played yet.
Sure, that sounds good. I'm on top of the thing. So
we're 13-2, aren't you?
Sure.
Well,
I'm on top of the division. That's all that matters.
Either way, did you beat Adam? Your last game was against your fellow NFC South rival who had the same record as you, and you beat him, right?
Yeah, blew him out like it wasn't even a thing.
You win your last game of the year, and you are the number 2 seed? Because Denver is the number 1 seed, right?
Denver's cheating, yeah.
Yes, okay. And Denver is Gus Ramsey, who is clearly cheating, because that's the kind of guy he is. I mean, we all know it.
Yeah.
So you're heading into the playoffs as one of the two byes, and you're obviously feeling very good and confident about your chances.
Yeah, I just hope we can get this whole thing wrapped up by the time I go to Amsterdam.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to work around your schedule for that, no doubt. And you're the Colts, and like, is it the typical Colts team? Like, is it Andrew Luck and Trent Richardson? Like, who are, or have you made trades? Like, who are your top 2 or 3 guys?
Yeah, it's Andrew Luck, Trent Richardson. T.Y. Hilton got hurt. Luck got hurt for a while. Richardson's been dominating with the run game. I'm 12-2, guys.
Okay.
So I don't know
what your Week 15 game.
Mathematics here.
Yeah.
Good.
That means you still haven't played this week.
Yeah, I have to play this week's game. But yeah, I'm gonna win that out. It's gonna be great. We're gonna go to the playoffs. We're gonna win all those, and we're gonna be happy.
Hey, TJ, you did not win a single playoff game in the Madden 25 league, right? So this is a big.
Yeah, I remember how you guys had like broken routers and all sorts of crazy problems that had to throw me off my game. I remember how you guys were cheating. It was fun.
That was none of us.
And if I remember correctly, he kind of he reached the apex during season 1 and then just tanked the rest of the way until he pretty much disappeared and wasn't playing games at the end.
Whoa. First off, it was my team that tanked on me when they were just like, yeah, man, let's go to preseason. We'll go to this draft. You know what? I'm going to retire. And then other guys on my team just started retiring. We would have been fine if the whole team didn't just give up. I think I won Coach of the Year even in a year someone retired.
So Pete Dodd, you are the New York Jets. You have been struggling. You just had it sounds like one of the better games of the year. You played Greg Ford. I read the email. You know, it's like FIFA. We talked about it. You know, Madden. When you play somebody that's good and you don't win, you can still have a lot of fun. It sounds like that's what happened with your most recent game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been having fun with this year's Madden, even though I am 3-12 now, I think. I've had a lot of close games, which helps, and there's been a lot of drama. And so yeah, like last night, me and Greg Ford played, and it was just this defensive battle, which was weird in a way because it wasn't typical. It wasn't a defensive battle where everyone's linebackers just making super crazy interceptions or whatever until overtime. So yeah, we just battled and battled and battled. We went to overtime, and then in overtime, I got the ball, I turned it over to him. He got the ball, he turned it over to me. I got the ball, I turned it back over to him, and he scored. So overtime was just wild as well. So yeah, I'm having fun at 3-12.
And Greg Ford is the Patriots. Was that important for him for playoff position? I believe he's battling for the division, right?
Yeah, I think that makes him 500 now. I think he might be 7-7 or 8-7. He's somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And I stopped looking at division standings, after week 3 or 4 because I'm 3-12.
And unfortunately, there are at least 3 or 4 teams who have even worse records than you, so you don't even get that.
Including the team that I usually am, the team I cheer for in real life. The New York Giants have no wins in the Press Row League. So yeah, they're going to get a better draft. I'll probably be top 5. Maybe top 7 if I win in week 17. But I feel good. I have a lot of cap space. I've been trying out a bunch of younger players. I know who I'm going to cut. I know who I'm going to keep. So this year, I don't feel like it's been a waste. I feel like I learned a lot about the team, and that's what's awesome about multi-year leagues is that you don't just go, I need to win this year. I knew. Right. In week 1, before I even played the game, I knew I was not winning this year.
Right.
So, I have something to play towards, to work towards.
Perhaps the most interesting story developing in year 1 of the Press Row Madden League, though, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were they were set up to be sort of that. Yep, we know we're not going to be very good this first year. We're going to evaluate and plan for the future, and then all of a sudden, coming out of nowhere, in the rearview mirror of those teams vying for the last couple of seeds, last couple of playoff spots, here come the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian Weedeye, what is your situation, and how have you turned things around so quickly?
Yeah, well, I thought I would get to an 8-8 or a 9-7 season. Right now, I am 9-6, and I'm on the outside looking in, basically, because the Browns are 9-6 also, and they have the tiebreaker over me for the 6th spot. So basically, because Adam at 11-2 or whatever what is he at now? 10-3.
Right.
He's 11-3.
Yeah.
He has the 5 spot sewn up. Could potentially, if TJ collapsed somehow, I guess, get a higher seed and TJ drop into the 5. But either way, it's down to the 6th seed for my Jaguars and the Browns. So I have to win the last week, which I believe is against the Texans, Adams Texans, and then I need the Browns to lose. Otherwise, I can go 10-6 and not make the playoffs, unfortunately.
I think the Ravens still have 2 games to go too.
Yeah, but I have a tiebreaker over them. I just beat them. So the Ravens are not a concern for me. They're 8-6. They could go 10-6, but if they did, I'd still have the tiebreaker over them. So it's an interesting situation. Although I wonder what would happen if the Ravens and the Browns and the Jaguars all end up at 10-6, because then it's not head-to-head as the tiebreaker. And we have a similar situation in the NFC West where 3 teams could tie at the top. And the tiebreakers change at that point, so I'm not really sure. So I just got to win my last game and see. But then I'm going to have like $60 million to spend in free agency, and if I don't make the playoffs, I'll be drafting 16, 17, 18 somewhere, pretty decent spot, and then I'll come back and get everybody next season.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the NFC West, right? You've got, not only do you have 3 teams vying for the playoffs, and there's only one playoff spot going to come out of that. That's the division title. All 3 of those are human people. You've got Corey's 49ers right at 9-6. You got Owen Good's Cardinals at 8-7, and Dylan's Seahawks at 8-7. So those are all 3 humans vying for that last spot. Whereas in the NFC South, I believe the only human is Donnie Moore, who is not going to win the division. In the East, I did have 2 other humans in the NFC East, but they both have left the league. And in the North, you've got
scared them, Rich.
Hardly. You got 3 people, 3 real human players in the NFC North with Craig and his Packers. You've got Kat and her Vikings, and you got Mike and his Bears. Everybody in the NFC North is over 500. The last place team in the North will probably be 10-6. And will not make the playoffs. The CPU Lions are like monsters. They're just crushing people. It's going to be a wild finish to the regular season. But the only thing that is better than the regular season in the Press Row podcast are the playoffs. Our playoffs typically are stupendous, so I'm really looking forward to them. My Eagles are actually going to be, looks like, the number 2 seed. I have definitely benefited from Garnet Lee and Ian Cummings. Rather shamefully leaving the Press Row Madden League before the end of the year. One of the things that we make everybody do before they join the league is commit to at least the first year, because there's a lot of people that want in. So if you're going to join, great, just commit to the first year. And of course, they both left. So a pox on them. So,
part of it at least had a good reason, right? I don't know Ian's, but I mean, Garnet got a new job and moved.
Nope, still not good enough. He got his PS4 plugged back in, and he's like, I'm not really feeling it. So I'm like, all right, you're out.
Yeah, okay. Screw that.
So, yeah. Now, granted, I'm not saying had they not left, I still wouldn't be in the same position I am. I probably would have split the games with them. So yeah, I would probably not be set up for a number 2 seed, but I did get to play both of them once, so there was that. But anyway, yeah, my Eagles are looking good for a number 2 seed, which I will do what I've done every year, which is what the Eagles do every year, which is lose at home in the first round of the playoffs to whomever comes out of the wild card round. So I'm looking forward to that. which is nice. Hey, Brian Weedeye, something that you're playing before I talk a little bit about our Dodd Scientific Science Row MLB The Show baseball playoffs. You're also playing, you've been trying out Sunset Overdrive. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's I accidentally I accidentally ordered it, or not accidentally. I ordered it back in June, and I would have canceled it because I didn't really even know what the game was. I wasn't paying attention to it, and then I got the notification from Amazon that it shipped. I'm like, oh hell. And then so I was either going to send it back or keep it based on reviews, and the reviews came in, and most of them were really good. So I decided to stick with it, and what I found is I really like the game a lot, actually, and I can see why maybe it doesn't work for some people. There's a lot of language. There's some tongue-in-cheek humor. The humor of it, though, is actually I really like it. There's a lot of it's very sarcastic, a lot of like breaking the fourth wall kind of stuff, and I actually really I've had a few laugh out loud like moments in the game. My issue with it is that everything is so hectic, and this is by design. Like you have to be moving at all times, whether you're grinding on rails or jumping on cars. Or else you're gonna die. You have to be moving and shooting at the same time. It's very hectic stuff, and I'm not sure I have. Like I've struggled a little bit with it because I'm not sure I have like the dexterity to deal with that because you got to be quick. You got to aim while you're moving. I'm not the best at that, but it's a little forgiving. And the missions are kind of fun though. I mean, I keep wanting to go back to it. I was going to play it before the Hangout tonight again, and I ran out of time. But I'm actually liking it quite a bit, and I think it's a funny game. And again, humor is
Funny
subjective.
like a clown?
No, like. It's just the story is funny. Like the voiceovers are funny. The kind of the way they explain to you the game, the narrator is funny, and then there's even things like I was doing a mission just a little while ago, and there's this it's like this processing plant, and there's a voice coming from like the PA or whatever it is, and it's like a pre-recorded thing, but then it starts talking to you. And basically telling you that you suck at what you're doing and all this stuff. But I mean, I got a kick out of it, so I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. It is a little heavy for me just because you have to be moving constantly and shooting constantly, and there's a ton of these zombie-like creatures that are coming at you at all times, basically. And so you gotta be moving, you gotta be jumping around, you gotta be gliding on these things, and then you have at the same time. These missions you're trying to complete, these things you're trying to collect, or things you're trying to get for people or create for yourself. And there's a ton of stuff that goes into customizing your character and customizing your weapons and improving your weapons and different skills of yours. But it's smart in a way that that basically what you do the most, the stuff you like to do, you improve at the most. So if you do like to grind on things, if that's your generally the way you travel or the way you're shooting guys, you're going to get better at that and get more skills that go along with that. Or if you do, it's just I think intelligent in that way that you don't have to play the game a certain way. You can come up with your own ways, and then you actually get better at it. It rewards you for how you play the game.
Insomniac's actually always been really, really good at that. They, you definitely have to get through sections, but in general, they give you multiple options, and it's like, and everything always has, like the Ratchet and Clank series, like, I like this gun more than this gun,
right?
And so I use this one more, and that one levels up, and then it has more extra powers and stuff. So it's like it doesn't penalize you for that. It actually just makes that gun more fun, which is a really smart design, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Ratchet.
and that's another way. That's another way in this game that you do improve your weapons and by using them. So then if you find one or two that you really like, you can hang on to them. You can keep using them. You don't have to. In some games it's very linear in that, well, once you find this gun, it's just flat out better than the other one in terms of damage it inflicts or whatever. But these are very like I just got a weapon that shoots teddy bears and explodes. So yeah, they have very different type of stuff, and it's just fun. It's kind of fun in a way. So I definitely like that aspect of it.
Now, quick aside, Pete Dodd. These are the guys who made Ratchet and Clank for years, right? Like, why move to a new IP, Sunset Overdrive, very different vibe, instead of building the next generation of Ratchet and Clank games, which are kind of I mean, obviously,
there's a Ratchet and Clank game coming from them, probably next year.
A big time AAA or another one of these sort of we're keeping the series going, but we're not.
No, it's going to be another sort of full-fledged. They're making a Ratchet and Clank movie, so it's going to be. They're not going to skimp on it. Like, they made a Ratchet and Clank, like, basically it was a MOBA, which I loved, and I was the only person that loved it because I couldn't find anyone to play the game with after about like 4 days. And then they had the PS3 one that came out last year, but after the PS4 came out, and but people really enjoyed that. But yeah, they're working on another one, but they never were owned by Sony. They were second party. Like, Sony paid for all of their games, all of their development and stuff, and everything was exclusive, but then they said we wanted to go third party, so then they put out Fuse, which was a total bomb, and then Microsoft made them an offer, and they made this for them. I mean, obviously they couldn't bring Ratchet and Clank over because Sony actually owns that IP, even though they invented it. Yeah, so that's why, I mean, and they also did the Resistance series. I mean, they've done a lot of stuff. And yeah, and so we're going to, like, PlayStation 4, people are going to get a Ratchet game next year or in a year and a half or so. I'm not sure of the release date.
Good, because I'm rather fond of that series. One of the reasons that I'm not playing Sunset Overdrive, and there are many, but one of the reasons is that because I'm one of the 9 people left in the world that is still playing MLB 14 The Show almost every day. We are in the playoffs of our online franchise, the 4th iteration that we did, and well, I was in Game 5 of the National League Division Series. I have the Dodgers, and I split the first 4 games. It was 2 games to 2 heading into Game 5 in Cincinnati, and I went up 2-0, and then I fell behind 3-2, and then I wound up in tying it in the 9th, and then scoring the winning go-ahead run in the top of the 10th, and then getting a save in the bottom of the 10th to win the series. It was an incredibly intense game, an incredibly intense series. MLB The Show really demands a lot from you, and I love that about it. When you leave, the bases loaded, when you got the bases loaded and 1 out, and you get no runs out of it, you just know that's going to come back to hurt you. When you don't get that hit when you need it, or as soon as sometimes you let that curveball go, and before it even gets to the plate, you know that you made a mistake, they will make you pay for it. MLB 14 The Show just continues to be that game for me. It is so good. I'm having so much fun with it. It's fun being in our online league. I know the online's terrible. I know it. I get it. Trust me, I understand. But when you're not playing somebody online, MLB The Show just continues to be, for me, just an unbelievable experience. And I'm in the NLCS and playing the Rockies, who not only knocked out Gus Ramsey's Mets swept them, but they also snuck in and took the National League Western Division title for me on the last game of the year. So now I have to go to start and end the series in Colorado. So I'm also playing that. So lots and lots of good stuff. My gosh, guys, I mean, there is so much good happening with sports games right now. You've got MLB The Show. You've got FIFA 15. You've got Madden. You've got NBA 2K15. You've got the Golf Club. You've got Forza Horizon 2. You've got Drive Club. I'm probably forgetting something.
You're forgetting one that's updated itself like 4 times, EA UFC.
UFC, there you go. That's not in my rotation, but that's definitely in many people's rotation, especially now that...
I'm happy with the most recent patch.
Right, especially since universally it is that most recent patch is getting praised significantly. But one of the games, too, that has just come out that I am doing the review for, the review should be live probably by Tuesday, is NBA Live 15. And I'll just say it. NBA Live 15 is a good game.
Rich.
It is fun.
What are you doing, Rich?
Listen. It is fun. It is welcoming. It is easy to get into, to pick up and play. It is nowhere near as good as NBA 2K15, right? I'm not saying that. NBA 2K15 is better in almost every way. But NBA Live 15 is a good game. It's fun. It's easy. I like it. I don't love it, but it is infinitely better than last year's, and it is a game that to me establishes the Live brand again as it's something that can exist and not be a joke. And up until this most recent version of NBA Live, we've all had a lot of fun making the Live name a joke. It is the 5-on-5 play is really, I think, fair. Like it's not amazing, but there's something to it. There's a rhythm to playing NBA Live that when you get into it, you start to understand what you can do. You can call your pick and rolls. You can call your screen. You can do your Euro steps, your step backs pretty easy. And there's just something about it that is, by being less complicated and making it easier for you to be good, there's just something appealing about it to me. Now, having said all of that, there's significant problems. The Rising Star mode is laughable, frankly, for a number of reasons. Number one, just because it's boring to me, like Road to the Show is boring. Rising Star is boring because it doesn't offer or bring anything new to the table. But also, it's completely implausible that you can call for the ball and shoot and score every single possession, and somehow that's not a problem. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? So
it's based off of Kobe Bryant?
So Rising Star is no good. The online play is spotty. At times it's bad. At times it's okay. Conceptually, online seasons are cool, but like if in practice the game, the lag and the responsiveness isn't good, that doesn't help. Even the Dynasty mode, which is what I'm playing the most of right now, is fun, but it, again, doesn't bring anything new to the table. I guess the reason that I'm enjoying Live 15 so much is that it is so much better than I was expecting. So what I've been doing recently, I'm playing a Dynasty of the Brooklyn Nets in both NBA 2K15 and NBA Live 15. So I'll play a couple of games in 2K, I'll play a couple of games in Live, and I'll go back and forth. And right now I'm 8 games into both. And actually, believe it or not, even though I think Live 15 is easier to play, it's certainly easier to pick up and play, I actually have a slightly better record, 1 or 2 games better in NBA 2K15. So, I mean, again, I haven't finished my review, but there's a lot that I like about NBA Live 15. It is a good game. It is not a great game. It does not set itself apart from NBA 2K15, but it is fun for me to play. And that is, that's the only perspective I can take. It's fun for me to play. Brian Weeda, I know you've played some Live. You and I played a little bit of Live together. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, when we were recording, we'll talk about the share play stuff later, but when we were recording that, you a couple times said, "This is a good game." And I said, "Well, be careful there." It is I wouldn't say good. I'd say decent. Now, we may be on the same level with those words there, but good just seems stronger to me. It's like a competent game. It's gameplay-wise is better. Again, it's difficult. You get asked a lot of times, like, how do you review a game, or how do you evaluate a game? And is it with sports games? Is it just last year versus this year? Is it this game versus the competition? Is it this game versus the entire genre? Live is a difficult one for me to say like where it stands, because if you're judging against Live 14, yeah, it's a much better game. I mean, and you see that in the Metacritic scores, which are about 20 points higher than it was last year. If you're judging it on its own, though, as far as value goes, in 2014, and what you can get for your $60, whether it's NBA 2K or a different sports game or just a different video game, Live doesn't stand up to those games. It's to me, it's a $35, $40 value maybe. I mean, like you said, Rich. I think the fun factor is another thing that's difficult to judge, because it's going to be different with everyone. When I played the 6 hours with EA Access, I was bored by the end of it, and if I wasn't streaming, I wouldn't have wanted to play it anymore. But I could recognize in that hey, I can see people having fun with this game, and I've said it many times now, but this is the game that should have released last year. And if this had released last year, if this had relaunched the franchise, I think people would have been more open not only to this game but future editions. But Live 14 kind of it just was maybe just piled on to everything that had happened over the previous years, and cancellations are one thing. It hurt the brand and everything, but releasing a game and having it be so poor, that was the first time EA had taken money from people's pockets, and that stings a lot more to people, and they don't forget that. So Live 15 can be a decent game, but not many people are maybe going to give it a chance, or not many people want to give it a chance because of what happened last year. So yeah, Rich, it is a more stable game. You know what you're getting. It's a more stable game than 2K because it doesn't rely on the servers, but it doesn't excel in many areas. Gameplay is better. The gameplay can be fun. There's a lot of issues there, certainly, but then the online isn't as good as EA would want it to be able to tout that, hey, look at us over here. We've got great online. They don't have great online. Now they don't rely on the servers for the modes. That's one of the biggest things, obviously. But it's a tough game for me to point out and say this is a good game or this is a game you should consider buying. I don't think it's there yet. I think it's a year or two away if they keep it going from getting to that place where, again, in 2014 you can say, is this a $60 game? Live isn't a $60 game to me. But it is a much better game than last year, and I do think you can have some fun with it.
Pete, Dodd?
I have only played the demo, so I am not an expert on the game, but I want to sort of piggyback on what Brian was saying in regards to the fact of it not being a $60 game, which I think a lot of us feel the same way about NHL. Right. Which makes me think about something that 2K actually does from time to time, which, like, after several months, they'll put two of their games together as a $60 pack. Like, if you can get NBA Live and NHL for $60, like, if that was out right now, I would go buy that. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not sure I would buy either individually for $30. But both of them for $60, even though it's the same exact thing, like it just it makes more sense.
What you really want is a EA Sports subscription? Come on, Pete. I want discounts on all the EA. You want all the EA games at a discount because look, that's actually not a bad idea because there are a lot of people who maybe have interest in these games but say I can't justify $60 for that. NHL is one of them. NBA Live is one of them. UFC may have been one of them. They really have Madden and FIFA as their two, premier products, and everything else in their lineup is kind of iffy. and so it actually would make sense for those. But you're right. I mean, I think a pack-in with something else. If they really do want to build it back as a franchise and keep it going, to get it in more people's hands, at least that makes sense. Last year they would have been better off if nobody played it.
Right, because I like playing the demos of both. I like the gameplay of both. They both have issues. NHL gameplay is definitely more solid because it has a foundation to build off of. But I find NBA Live to be pretty fun. The demo, I've played it quite a bit. I actually find the demo more fun than 2K. But I can't justify it. I mean, just like what you just said, Brian. Like, I can't justify dropping $60 on this and then being like, well, who am I even going to play online? Who am I going to, am I going to play a season mode by myself? Like, it's really difficult to sort of justify that. It's the same reason I didn't buy NHL. It was because the modes I loved were missing, and I was like, I can't do this.
Well, that's why it's much better to have this kind of conversation than to try to put everything, describe it in a vacuum. Like, my problem right now is I'm working on writing the review for Games Radar. So is the angle that I take with NBA Live 15 comparing it to Live 14? Is it comparing it to NBA 2K15? Or is it ignoring all of those things and just trying to evaluate it purely on its own merits? And the answer is all of the above, right? Because that's the only way to truly, in my opinion, evaluate it. But what I keep coming back to is I keep waiting to not like the game. Like, I keep waiting to get to the end of a particular thing that I'm trying and then think to myself, all right, I don't want to play this anymore. Because that's exactly where I was with NBA Live. Like, the second I stopped for review, I didn't want to touch it anymore because it was entirely frustrating and agonizing to play that game. I haven't gotten to that point. I enjoy playing the basketball. I like the 5-on-5. I like playing with my Nets in my Dynasty. I like calling a pick and roll. I like, tapping the triangle. I'm going for a drive and having NBA Live just like, hey, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to do this cool thing and then slam dunk, and then I'll just help you do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Because half the time when I try to do that in NBA 2K15, I turn the ball over or fall down, right? And again, it's not saying Live is better than NBA 2K. It's not. I love NBA 2K15. I absolutely love it. I'm playing it. I've probably played 20 games of Live and 16 games of 2K this week. If I had no other games other than Live and NBA 2K, I would be very happy because I would probably wind up playing my Dynasty in Live and playing my player in 2K because for me, my player is the best way to play any. It's my favorite mode in any sports game at all right now. But all I'm saying is that I have fun when I play NBA Live 15, and I'm not going to tell anybody to go spend $60 on it right now, right? Because for some person, spending $60 might be like the only money they can spend on a game for the next 60 days, right? For somebody else spending $60 on a game, they might want to have Live and 2K15 and play both. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that if you like basketball games, you have another game this year that you can play, and you're going to say to yourself, hey, this you might say this ain't bad, or you might say, wow, this is actually pretty good. That's what I'm saying, right? And particularly we talk about Black Friday deals and specials and things like that. These are the kinds of things to think about, right? There's a lot of stuff happening in NBA Live that you can enjoy. And if you can get it for less than $60 or even better, like 30 or really good prices, it's something to think about.
And this is something that NBA Live has. We talked about during our recording too, Rich. Is that, and I think you mentioned it earlier, is that it is a much more friendly game to start or to learn. than NBA 2K, which is ironic because NBA Live 14, one of our biggest issues with it was that it didn't teach you how to play and you had no idea, and it made the experience so terrible. But you know, they corrected some of that, and you know, just going back to the days of using the right stick for all the dribble moves, which, you know, I always liked the freestyle stick or whatever they called it in Live, as opposed to what 2K was offering, and then the shot stick. I hate that kind of thing. So it is a more you know, inviting game to new people, but as far as content goes, to keep you hooked into it and compelled, you know, with it, that's where it's really lacking. And like I think I would like this Live if it had some really compelling modes. For them, it's Ultimate Team. For EA, they think Ultimate Team is that. They don't care about their career mode right now. They don't care about Dynasty. They've admitted as such. But I think when you look at NBA 2K, why is My Career the most popular mode? Is it because it's a story? It was even before it was a story that was the most popular mode. It's because you play as one person, and it's much more simple that way.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who's new to the game, or even someone who goes year to year, it's a lot easier to play as one player than it is, you know, in a 5-on-5 environment where you might have to run plays, and I still couldn't. That's something I still can't do, is run like plays on a regular basis. So you know, this is a good game for somebody who's not as familiar with basketball games, or haven't played in years, to jump in on. But again, like you said, I think it has to be at a lower price, where people will actually give it a chance, and where I think they can get the proper value out of it.
Yeah, a great example of where Live doesn't even live in the same world as 2K is in the concept of the single player, right? Because Rising Star, you have one guy, you pick him, and in like Road to the Show, you just play through that mode, and it's just menu driven and everything like that. Whereas 2K has completely, not only do they have it nailed with My Player by giving you a story that's fun and silly, but they also, that same guy you can then take to the park. Like, your person is not just in a mode; he's actually your persona in a.
He's your he's your GM and be a
right.
My GM. He's your career guy, and he's your park guy. He's your Jordan Rec Center guy.
Right. So, TJ Larriman, you've been into 2K15 now for a couple of weeks. I'm really interested to hear, now that you're past like that first day, like what have you been doing with your 2K guy, and how's that going? Because I'm curious, as a self-admitted non-basketball guy, I'm interested to see how that's going.
Yeah, I was turned off by Live 14. I've been turned off by all the 2K games in the last 3 or 4 years. I tried them all out and didn't really like them, just because too much stuff to learn and know and understand. So I went in, bought the game last week so that I could play it during the Extra Life stream.
Yep.
I think me, Brian, Scott O'Gallagher from the 2K sports team, and Leftos, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to speak because it's Greek, like Pastapadre, our favorite soccer player. So we were playing My Park. Got off to a little slow start, but once we started playing with people, it was a lot of fun. And now every day I've been going on, pulling my little bonus cards in the NBA 2K15 app so I can get more coin or more VC to make my guy better. And then after that, I'll go and I'll play a couple games of My Career, which I'm not even really interested in, just so that my guy can be better for My Park. And then I took this crazy idea, and I'm like, let me hop in here. Let me try out this My Team Ultimate Team thing. And then about 3 minutes later, I realized I do not ever want to play this game like full 5-on-5 basketball with me controlling the whole team. That is just not the thing I want to do ever in a basketball game. So definitely the My Career stuff I'm loving, and My Park, as long as Brian gets back in there. I think we have a rival weekend this week.
Yeah.
So we can team up again. Rivet City, raise the roof. My power forward's getting real good, so you better watch out. I'm going to be dunking on you soon.
Hey, don't worry. I spent $5 on VC, so my guy is up to an 82 now. So I'm coming for you.
Well, look, I'm not gonna lie. I bought Call of Duty today, and it was like, do I buy a $50 gift card and then a $10 gift card, or do I just buy the $75 gift card?
Oh.
So I got like $15 sitting around. That could either be MUT packs, or that could go to making my guy a lot better. I think it's going to my guy to make him a lot better, because I'm really having a ton of fun playing my career.
That's our part of the goddamn problem.
Hey, no, the problem isn't people spending $5 or $10, Pete. The problem is the people who spend like $600 to $1,000. That's the
If you
problem.
have $600 to $1,000 willing to just give to me to put into my park, more than willing. Well, that first day when he was like, my guy was terrible, I was like, do I just drop $20 in here? Then I was like, let me do the calculations of what $20 is in VC and how many levels up I could bring a thing. Then I was like, nah, I'll just get the app and get my 2,000 coins a day or whatever and live like that.
You know, it's so funny too because I enjoy my player not for the basketball. I enjoy it purely for the experience of just the different things that happen. Not that the whole story is what keeps me going. Obviously, if I didn't enjoy playing as a single player, I wouldn't do it. And I want to like quadruple state. I love NBA 2K15. I'm playing it almost every day. I'm actually doing what I didn't do last year, in that I'm playing two modes. I'm playing my GM, which is great, like seriously great, much better than I was expecting, and my player. But I'm all about the 5-on-5. Like, to me, playing 5-on-5 in both 2K and Live is so rewarding, because once you start to figure things out, and then you call the right play, or like when I it was in the last couple of days. Like, and by the way, there's if you want to really just get yourself very confused, play like 8 games of sports video game basketball, but do 2 games of 2K, then 2 games of Live, then 2 games of 2K, and 2 games of Live. By the end, you don't know what button does what. What am I doing? How do I call for a pick and roll? You just get completely baffled. But at one point, like, I had Darren Williams, who's obviously the point guard for Brooklyn, and I was down by 2, and I wanted to get Joe Johnson open for a 3. So I was at the top of the key. I'm like, okay, well, if I can drive here and get a double team, I can kick it out to Joe Johnson, and he can nail the open 3. And I did that, and it worked. And I was just like, I'm the greatest. Like, I love the 5-on-5 of 2K. It's so funny how different people like different things or dislike different things. You know, it's funny, Pete, as I'm sitting here going crazy about how much I love not only Live, but how much I really love NBA 2K. You mentioned earlier 2K hasn't done anything for you. Have you tried all of the modes? Like, have you? What is it that's not hooking you yet? Because when we last spoke, I was in your camp, but now this week in particular, I've gotten all in on the basketball. It sounds like you're still on the outside, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm just not having fun, and you know that's a really easy thing to say and a really difficult thing to explain. But there's things I can point to. It's really animation heavy, so there's a lot of times where I don't feel like I'm in control of my player. Like they just start something, and I'm like, okay, I have to wait 2 or 3 steps until I can do something from here. Also, I feel like there's just so much bloat at this point in the 2K series with, like, there's like 120 moves that you can do. And, like, I'm a strategy game guy. So I'm used to, like, if you start learning the more advanced things, that helps you out. The thing with NBA 2K, though, is that, like, really all you need to do is just sort of clear out and get someone open, a decent three-point shooter open behind the line, and just keep nailing threes. I mean, that's all anyone online does. Like, learning these moves that it's like, I'm going to twist the right stick in a 360 and then hit triangle and R2 and R1, and I'm going to do a double hop step back pass, and then it gets picked off. Like, they have, like, these really advanced moves that don't do anything for you, and then you go into them by mistake. Sometimes it's almost like mashing buttons in a fighting game. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a drop, like I'm going to do a fadeaway jump shot, and then all of a sudden I'm doing, like, an underarm scoop. And I don't know why. I'm sure I moved the stick in a certain way. I just find it frustrating, boring. I'm not it doesn't feel like fun to me. Like I'm not when I play NBA Live the demo, like I get a rebound, I throw an outlet pass, I have a fast break going, I dish it off, I dunk it. Like, and I'm not looking for an arcade game, but just the basics are more fun in NBA Live, I think.
Well, NBA Live, in my opinion, helps that by being simpler and by basically, I think, it's sort of nudging you along. To me, it's very similar to like if you're playing a complex racing game with all of the driving assists on. Like that's what NBA Live is out of the box. It's like, all right, you're pressing turbo and you're driving to the hoop, so we're going to let you slam dunk so that you feel awesome. Whereas with NBA 2K, if you press turbo and you're driving to the rim, we're going to run you into the guy guarding you and make you fall back and drop the ball. And again, I know people are going to be like, oh, he's live, he hates 2K, he's crazy, he's getting paid by EA, loving those big 90-cent checks. No. I thoroughly enjoy
that check.
I thoroughly enjoy NBA 2K15. I legitimately enjoy NBA Live. They're different games. NBA 2K does most things better than Live. Live happens to be fun, and I like it. I'm sorry. What's also interesting to me is that nobody else seems to be willing to say that. Like there must be other people in the reviews world who kind of like it, but the reviews have been terrible, right? I mean, 63 to me is a bad game.
It's 61 now, Rich. A 45 just came in from EPN.
To me, that's a bad game. And again, I don't care about reviews anymore, even my own. I'm like, look at me. Everybody listens to me every week. You're gonna listen to me talk to you about something, for crying out loud?
No.
But it's funny to me.
I didn't ask you. Fucked. It was a bad idea.
It's funny to me how people seem like, well, I can't say anything good about Live because then, I would get made fun of. Besides, Live was terrible last year, so I'm sure it's terrible now. Like, it's funny to me that people can't even bring themselves to say something positive about Live when, in reality, there's some good stuff going on in that game. So, but anyway, that's the world.
I agree with you, and I am historically a 2K guy, even when they both existed. Like I've been a 2K guy, but this year I've had more fun with the NBA Live demo than I've had with the full NBA 2K game, which I bought with my hard-earned money.
Yeah. Pete, you know what you should do, Pete? What you should do is
on camera.
Wow, this got heavy. No, I was going to say you should share play into Rich's NBA Live 15 and actually experience the full game. Yeah.
Rich said.
I was trying to segue for you, Rich. I was trying to do a segue.
I was right there. I was
adding to the segue, by the way, when you just shut the segue down, Brian.
So, yes, moving right along to exactly what we were organically going to talk about is SharePlay as part of the update to the PlayStation 4. There's some update stuff that we definitely need to talk about that is a problem, but I tell you what, if I have to experience certain problems with my PS4 and for SharePlay to work, then I might consider just living in that world because, wow, SharePlay is amazing in every way. I am shocked at how good it is, how well it works, and how little it seems that people are talking about it. DJ Lowerman, have you SharePlayed yet?
SharePlayed a ton, Rich.
Really?
I SharePlayed with our buddy Chad. We were playing some Sports Friends. Which,
that's a fun game.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels like that's a really good test to see if SharePlay is pretty good because you got to be pretty quick on the sticks with that stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems like we were able to have no problems at all. Everything worked. We only did 2-player stuff where I had control of the second player controller. He had control of the first one. It worked good though. We couldn't play Johann Sebastian Joust because
To move
I
only.
need to be in the same room to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. I can't wait to play Nidhogg, because that's a 2-person local player game that I really want to. I have to pick it up now, or unless anybody else wants to buy it, then we can play together. After that, me and Brian played some FIFA together. We played some Dive Kick together. Once Brian learned how to play Dive Kick, it wasn't terrible. But yeah, everything was super smooth. I mean, me and Brian had a little bit of a slowdown, but I think that's because I was using all the internet in the world, because smartly, they block you from being able to stream the games with the PS4 because you need a lot of network to make this whole magic happen. But, you know, me and Brian, we're crazy, so I was streaming it through my capture card.
Mm-hmm.
And even with that, there was still almost no lag at all in the game. We played some FIFA with the two of us on the same team. It worked great. I noticed that there was a little degradation in the video quality. Like, maybe it looked like it was 720p instead of the 1080p that I normally see.
Yeah, it is 720p.
Yeah, and I only noticed that in FIFA, barely. I think it's because it was raining in our game.
Yeah, it
so
was.
I'm sure that kind of helped me notice that it was looking bad. But other than that, I thought it was pretty.
Hey, you can't say that, TJ. You can't say looking bad in 720p. You're dissing the Xbox One right there.
Hey, man.
Be careful. You got to be careful.
We should just make all games in like 900p so nobody can complain about anything.
Yes, that will solve all the arguments, yes.
Yeah, no, you're actually siding with the Xbox people, which is like 720p actually doesn't look that bad. Like, you
Unless
know,
you've had the beauty of 1080p.
like I'm streaming 720p and the game looks good. So why is everyone going nuts about these minuscule resolution differences?
Because what else would we go nuts about? We need something, right?
You know, there's so many interesting angles to take with SharePlay. Number one, there's just the fact that it's pretty easy to do. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a lot of things that have been done to video game consoles, features that have supposedly, you know, been put in and have just been difficult. Like, you know, years ago, you used to sort of be able to remote play with your PSP and your PS3, but nobody could ever really figure it out, and there were like 14 steps to do it, and, you know, you can share accounts and stuff, and like Pete Dodd has figured out how to do that. You know, so there are things that you can do, but they tend to be complicated. SharePlay, number one, is very easy, which has been impressive. Number two, like when I was playing, and Brian, you recorded a video of us, me getting bored playing Destiny very quickly.
It's a very
garbage at Destiny.
It's a very popular video, by the way. It's been linked like several places. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, when you're like, Rich, stop clicking the buttons. You got to watch this. I'm like, come on, I want to play. But yeah, I mean, it's a technical marvel, right? If I'm able to play, if I've never spent a dime on Destiny and I'm able to play it for an hour, and I'm able to play it in 720p with very slight, barely detectable, and ultimately not material input lag, that's an astounding thing. I mean, wow, Pete Dodd, how has this not like just blown up and caught the world on fire? I'm kind of surprised it's not a bigger thing than it is.
I think there's many reasons for that, and one of the reasons is I think it actually probably is a big deal, but people are afraid to be sort of hyperbolic, you know, like just so they, you know, it's like they play it and they're like, oh, I don't want to, you know, stick my neck out there right now, because it's like the whole just having a conversation about something. Like if I go on Twitter and I say SharePlay's amazing, it's like, you Sony pony, screw you, Xbox is #1, and it's like, no, I'm not talking about the PlayStation 4. Like, I'm talking about this one specific thing that can be adopted by every platform, and that's what it feels like. It feels like to me, like with the original Xbox, when you had a friends list across games, and it was like, okay, go. And the PlayStation 2 did not have that. It had friends lists per game. It was like, okay, going forward, all consoles are going to have friends lists. And then last generation with the Xbox 360, there was, parties and party chat, and it was like, okay, going forward, we're not going to have consoles that don't have party chat. Nintendo was like, screw you, we're going to make one without party chat. But Sony incorporated party chat and went with it. And after a week with SharePlay, it's just like, okay, going forward, like, if Microsoft wasn't working on this, they're working on it now, and if for some technical reason they can't get it to work on the Xbox One, it will be there day one on whatever their next console is. Like, it feels like that big of a thing. Like, now that we have this, we can't live without it.
There are massive implications in many ways. If we talk about sports games, they are significant, right? Like, I think, Brian, when you and I played NBA Live, at the end you said, wow, I actually feel more positively about NBA Live now than I did before. You talk about MLB The Show, which is a struggle to play online. If all of a sudden you and I can play a game of MLB The Show, we don't have to worry about the horrible net code, but we can just play the game as if we're almost sitting next to each other on the couch. That changes things. A game like NHL 15, right? Like, gets terrible reviews and people don't, want to go out and spend the money on it. But then they might be able to share play with somebody who has it. They might be able to get their, get a little experience. And they're like, hey, you know what? The regular 5-on-5 hockey is good. I can deal with this. I might think about picking this up in a couple of months, on discount. Like, there are so many implications for sports games in particular, Brian Widar. What are some of the things? Now that we've had this out here and we've been trying, what are some of the bigger implications that you think there are for sports games in particular?
Well, I do think it can sell games, like you just said, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be this game. But if you have someone who, okay, I was playing earlier today with Dylan, and he hasn't. I don't think he's ever played NBA 2K and FIFA. So I brought him in, and we were just playing some of those games, and it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be, wow, this is fun, I'm going to go out and buy it, but it could be, wow, this is fun, I kind of understand the game now, I'm learning it, and I'll buy it next year. It doesn't even have to be this game. It could be the next one. So I think there's a lot of different ways it can go. It's preferable to a demo because you can play the whole game, plus you can experience with it the whole thing with a friend, which is totally different than thinking about playing a demo on your own or even EA Access on your own. It's just a completely different experience. But plus, one thing I like to point out here, it has to do with like independent games, which don't have online components. So TJ and I played one of those. We played Dive Kick. Then
which, by the way, is
from, online component, but
that's from.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, no one was playing that.
Yeah, but I don't own it. But yeah.
That's from Iron Galaxy Studios, and our good friend Craig Kuyava is a part of that team. Want to give them a shout out for Dive Kick, a terrifically fun game. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so that one has an online component I wasn't aware of, but look, I could have learned that through SharePlay. So,
but sports, you're right. Sports Friends does not have an online component,
okay.
And I was able to play that now because of it.
Yeah, so you have these games that otherwise TJ's clear across the country from me. I would never ever be able to play that game with him because of that. So and there were others like Super Mega Baseball, which is coming out, which everyone was kind of like, oh, it doesn't have online. Well, if it's got local multiplayer, then we can play basically an online game together. Now, I did test out today with Dylan MLB The Show, FIFA, and NBA 2K, and it seems like the input lag varies from game to game, which doesn't make much sense to me, but it does. He hooked into my MLB The Show, and it was basically unplayable.
Really?
I don't know if it's because of how.
Did they purposely do that just to torture us even more?
Yeah,
it's also like way more Twitch based than.
Right. So that was that would be the theory there. What TJ is saying is you have to be much more precise in the show. Whereas, animations play out longer in basketball games or soccer games. It's more of an anticipation thing in those games than a reaction. It could be that, or it could be some reason that it's different between game to game, and I don't know which is the case. But he was pitching and he would have to hit the button on the meter. He's using the meter where you hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, right? So he would have to hit the button the second time before it even reached the top for it to register at about where it needed to be on the way back down. And then when he was hitting, he'd have to swing almost at the pitch to get a swing off, or else nothing would even happen. So it was basically unplayable. But then he was in my NBA 2K, and he had initial difficulty timing jump shots, but I mean that happens online too.
Right.
And then when I was in your NBA Live, Rich, I thought the input lag was better than the actual online games that I had played of it. So
I played a bunch of online seasons in NBA Live, and the share play is a better experience than online and live, no doubt.
Well, first of all, it's a perfect experience for you, Rich, because you're the host. You're not playing online, so it's only the guests that's going to have the input lag. But I was excited about this could work for the show because not only is it a lag thing with the show online, but they have these weird visual oddities and things that that aren't synced up, where one person's screen, it shows the ball being caught, and the other person's screen, it's like down for a double. So you can actually eliminate that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you do have to worry about whatever the input lag might be. And so Pete was talking about why maybe this hasn't gotten as much publicity as we would think it would, because it's pretty revolutionary, really. And I think there are two reasons for that. One is it's based on the host's upload speed, or primarily on the host's upload speed. So there are a lot of people who can't really use it, or who can't use it well. Like I've seen people say that either they couldn't connect into it because of upload speed, or the guest was seeing not just 720p, but like 480p or something because the upload speed couldn't handle it. And then I think also that it almost seems too good to be true. Like even going into it, I was like, is this going to work like they're saying? And is it really like an hour, and then you can just jump back in with another hour and another hour into someone's game that you don't own and don't have to download? And it is. It's absolutely all of that, which is just it blows my mind, really. Just not only how well it works for me, at least, and other people we've talked with and us, and but that it really is all of that. Jump into someone's game. You don't have to own it. You can play with them online, not just co-op, but you can play against each other. You can play their franchise. You can go online, and this is probably not recommended again because of the lag, but you can go online for someone else and play their game. So Pete, could get his ringer for his online games. But you can play all that offline stuff. You could essentially have an online franchise offline. So this is something we'd have to test. Can you do multi-user franchise or career in FIFA? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
I want to say no, but I feel like it might be an option.
I would be surprised if you can't, just because FIFA is the kind of game where you will often have multiple people sort of hovering around the same system. So but I don't know. Either way.
But yeah, I mean, so in theory, so not knowing that, but that could be something we could work out at some point, or in ways that we more understand it. You could have a friend jump in and do a franchise with them without them owning the game, because they only need an hour at a time to play their game. They can jump in and play their computer with their team. So there's so much potential for different ways this can be used with sports games. And TJ was in my FIFA, and he was starting up my Ultimate Team. He could charge a fee and set up people's Ultimate Teams, or someone could be stuck at a certain part of a game, and someone could jump in and help them get past that part. There's just so many different ways this could be used because it actually works.
Yeah, you stole exactly where I was going right there, Brian, which is TJ Lauerman, you are here tonight to announce your new Ultimate Team consulting service powered by SharePlay, where you will go in and you, for 59 minutes, will train and help anybody get their Ultimate Team set up. Are you prepared to officially make that announcement right now?
Yeah, $1 a minute. Can't wait to start it. Call me Miss Cleo. Call me now.
This is like you're charging the old Nintendo hotline fee.
And the good news is I can't buy stuff on your account.
Yeah.
That was the
We
first
tested.
thing I tested on Brian's FIFA.
I'm like, why? You pulled up the screen where I buy something, where I spend my PlayStation money, and this is the thing: is that it blocks the guest from seeing the Sony. I don't know how to phrase it, but the Sony stuff. They can't see your dashboard. They can't make purchases. But TJ thinks if you did have like FIFA points, he could open packs.
I think if you have points, I could open the packs.
Yeah. So basically, he can do everything that you can do in your game, but spend your money
and do it better. Pete Dodd, you're.
Well, yeah, I wanted to piggyback on what Brian was saying about sort of online leagues and stuff like that. Like, and I don't think that we're going to do this year. This just came out or whatever, but I can actually see a situation where, we buy a PlayStation 4, we give it to someone like Brian who works at home, and, he can then share, and we chip in on games, and he can share them, and we do a FIFA league. And just say and schedule slots. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get in now, and I'm gonna play my game against the computer. I'm gonna, and stuff like that. I could actually see this becoming sort of like a PC kind of thing, like where you actually go and buy a machine just to be the host, And there's a lot of things that we're never going to see. I mean, you guys talked about this on the last Press Row podcast, like the death of online seasons. One thing you're never going to see, I don't think, is NBA 2K online season where you and your friend can be on the same team, because playing basketball together is really fun. Playing hockey together is really fun. Playing FIFA together is really fun. Playing Madden together is not as fun.
No. That's why online team play didn't make it in Madden.
The chances of there being an online league where you can play co-op with a friend are extremely minimal. Yeah. But you can do all of those through SharePlay. So it's like okay, TJ, you and I, every Wednesday and Friday night we're gonna clear it, make sure we have an hour, and we're gonna team up together and and play 2K and try to get through 82 games, him as the point guard and me as the power forward or whatever of whatever team. That's not ever going to be available to us online. So this actually is giving us an opportunity to do things that just wasn't there before. And then that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so funny, too, because I got a lot of comments back just in the last day or so about our conversation about online leagues, too. And, it's a bit of a shame because that segment was recorded at the end of a very long show, and I feel like we could have even dedicated more time to it. But a lot of people with a lot of comments and questions on that, so we're going to talk about it some more in the future. But it really does seem to me that SharePlay is just it's another step towards this end game where nobody really knows exactly what it's going to be, right? We know what it's going to be, right? There's the cloud, and then there's the local clients, and we're all going to be sort of accessing our stuff, and sometimes it'll be local and sometimes it'll be in the cloud. It's all part of the network, but I don't think the real details are none of it. But when it comes to sports, right, it's really still unclear. And you can see it's unclear because every game has something different, right? Madden has your online CFM, where all of the stuff is stored in the cloud, right? So you can't restart a game or something like that if you're in a connected online CFM, right? Because that's out there. NBA 2K, you got my player, but my player is stored in the cloud, even though the game is sort of localized for you, but that's because the VC needs to be synchronized. And then you've got FIFA, where you got your online seasons, which just happen naturally when you play a friendly against somebody. You don't even set it up, but if you play 6 games against your friend, one of you will get a trophy. There's just all of these sort of variations on the theme, and if you combine sort of SharePlay with cloud saves, but some ability to maintain control in a singular place so that the input is good. Like for sports games, like you say, Pete, that could really be where we could, instead of these teams having to build these massive net code and all of these things specifically to online, they could really shift that responsibility to a different, to like that central hub machine or set of machines. It's fascinating where this is going to go. You would hope that it becomes more of a service, a centralized service, as opposed to every game trying to figure it out on their own, because I think one of the reasons that we kind of struggle with online leagues is because each of these different franchises is sort of doing their own thing, and nobody's quite got it right, although I think Madden has it the most right. But man, it would be better if we're the guys who make like the show were able to wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, all of the stuff we struggled with for years is now fixed by somebody else, and we just put our game on this platform, and that takes care of it, and we can just make the best baseball game. And like the NBA 2K guys, right? If they're like, hey, we would love to have online leagues and associations like people tell us, but it's just so much investment. But if we could put it over here and this other thing does it, man, I think that would be interesting. And it seems to me like a combination of share play and Akamai and streaming, with Sony, and with Microsoft and Azure and sort of what they're trying to do, it would be nice to see if we could get there. TJ Larriman, am I living in fantasy land, or do you think this is the direction this all might sort of be heading in the next couple of years?
Rich, anytime you put sports gaming and service in a sentence, I always feel like you're in fantasy land. But
good point.
That's just because you've been talking about it for 2 years. But hey, if we can get a baseball game that works online, I don't care what you have to do, who you have to kill, just make it happen. If this is the way to do it, I'm happy with that.
It's hard to argue that. So with SharePlay, we also got a whole bunch of problems with the PS4. What the heck? Pete Dodd, you run Sony. This is all your fault. What did you do to my standby mode that was so good that would download stuff and charge my controllers? Now I put my PS4 in rest mode, and I can't even turn it on anymore. What happened, Pete?
I don't know. I have not had any of the problems that people are talking about.
You're one of those guys. Works fine for me, guys. No problem here. Must be you.
I'm not one of those guys because I do admit that there is a huge problem with 2.0. I'm just not personally experiencing it. But my Twitter feed is enough to know that this is very widespread. Because every time it happens to anybody, the first thing they do is tweet. Freaking PS4 just locked up again, going into rest mode. So like I read that like 15, 20 times a day, and I'm like, okay, this problem's pretty widespread. Yeah. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of theories now that it has to do with uploading cloud saves. I have no idea. I have cloud saves turned off. I use them, but I manually upload them because of the fact that I play a lot of sports games, and it tries to upload like roster files or whatever that are like 200 megabytes, and we only have a gigabyte, so I have it turned off. I haven't run into it. I don't know what it is. I do want to make one last point about SharePlay though. That's crazy to me. I've done SharePlay twice, and the first time I did it was with someone in Japan. The second time I did it was with someone in New Zealand. And I'm in Utah, in the middle of the desert, not far from Las Vegas. And it worked both times. And I got sold on Lords of the Fallen, which was a game I had huge questions about, playing it from Utah to New Zealand.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I saw, in fact, our friend Owen Good tweeted about it, and I have no idea what this is about. Maybe no one else does, but Owen tweeted something about the Sony 2.0 update, sort of, and its juxtaposition with the Evolve big big
open beta
alpha
or the
being
alpha?
killed. Is there some sort of correlation between the two, or is that just Owen doing what Owen does best, which is drawing a smart conclusion from something that nobody wants to talk about? Pete, is there anything to that? Or do you know anything about that?
They claim that the Evolve beta or alpha is not going to happen on the PS4 right now because 2.0 screwed up their build. The thing that makes me question that is that I own a ton of PlayStation 4 games that have online play, and they all work with 2.0 and they didn't get updated. So I don't understand how this. And the other thing is the Evolve Alpha is having matchmaking problems on the PC and on the Xbox One. Like, people just cannot get into games. So I can't say this definitively, but it sounds like an excuse to me. Like, they just are like, the alpha is not going well. They're having trouble with their servers. They don't want to add the PlayStation 4 people to their servers, so they're blaming it on 2.0 because there is no technical reason that anyone has explained to me why that would be true. But they have said that. I mean, Owen isn't lying. That is their excuse for the alpha being delayed on the PS4.
Interesting. TJ Larman, are you upset by the Evolve situation? Were you in Evolve? I know you're into things like Call of Duty and some of those other things. Was Evolve on your list?
I mean, it's something I'm gonna check out down the road probably, but I wasn't really excited for this alpha. I didn't get a cool wristband that says Monster on it, so.
Good point. All right. Before we get into tweets, I do want to say that I am going to share play into Brian Weedey's PS4 again, and I will play Destiny again. And I will actually try this time. Okay? I will actually try to play it like a human being. What? Go ahead, Brian.
This is another cool thing about SharePlay, though, is like here, I just give you my controller, Rich, and you create your own guy. Like Destiny is this server-based thing where I wasn't even sure if you'd be able to create your own guy. I was like, maybe he'll just have to take over my guy to try it out. But no, you create your own game save that's obviously on my hard drive or in, it belongs to me, but you can start your own game, and you could theoretically play that game 50 hours or whatever. I just have to be here to hook you into it every hour. It's remarkable.
Sounds like how heroin works.
With certain games, like after I played Lords of the Fallen through my friends in New Zealand,
Did it show up?
I started a new save on their account, and I think it probably saved for them as well, but I got a copy of that save, and it showed up on my dashboard, and it was like, buy the game, and, continue from where you are, which is brilliant from their perspective.
I love that. That is in fact, what I was just about to say was the next day when I turned on my PS4, there, right there, the thing that wanted me to boot it up and play it was Destiny. I'm like, wait, why is that on my library? Yeah. Why is that there? It's like, buy the game and play where you started. I was like, that is brilliant. Very, very, very well done. So yes, I will play Destiny, this time with the actual intent of playing the game. We were just testing it out. We were messing around.
No.
This time...
You're not going to get back in the good graces, Rich. You've already blown it.
I will. I will try this time. I promise.
Well, I'm going to let you in to play some Call of Duty, and I can't wait to see that video.
Oh. That's going to be great.
Blitzkrieg Call of Duty.
It's going to be staring up at the sky and then staring at my feet. And then staring at the sky and staring at my feet. What is this thing? I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. No, I will play some Destiny to prove that I'm not a complete buffoon at first-person shooters. That's my promise. Yes, Pete.
I want to make another point on SharePlay and why it's amazing. There are games I have huge question marks about. Like I said, like Lords of the Fallen, like people have talked about it being like a Dark Souls, Demon Souls clone, but not as good. And I was like, well, how not as good? And that made me not buy it. So then I got to play it, and not just like a demo, but I got to go through the whole beginning, the story. I played a good chunk of it. And I was like, no, this is pretty close. Like, this is what I like. And there's a number of games coming out that I have questions about, like Assassin's Creed Unity. I don't know if I'm going to like that game or not. I typically do not like the Assassin's Creed series. I did like Assassin's Creed 4 because being a pirate was fun. This one, you're not a pirate. I am not buying. There's no chance I'm buying the game on day one. But if I can share play it and play it for an hour, get a good feel for it, it may sell me on it, And same thing with Dragon Age Inquisition. I hated Dragon Age 2 so much that I'm not buying Dragon Age Inquisition, but a friend of mine gets it. I share play it. I go, oh, they made a lot of improvements here. I mean, like this is the best selling tool for them ever.
Totally agree. Totally agree. There are. I could definitely see you, Pete, saying, Rich, you're an idiot. Well, no, I don't have to see that. You tell me that all the time. You say, Rich, you're an idiot. You like this game. Just play it for half an hour, and then I could, and then I would actually. I mean, there are plenty of games that I didn't think that I would like that I did like, and vice versa. So I'm with you 100%, Pete. All right, tweets up first from Famous Starstrips. Famous Starstrips. Says, talk about Microsoft selling the Xbox One for $350. TJ Lowerman, this one goes right to you. You do not own an Xbox One. $350, is that the price point to get you to go out and buy a shiny new console?
If I didn't have a PS4, probably. As of now, I have been dropping hints that if somebody needs the inexpensive Christmas present, an Xbox One at $350 is not that bad of an idea.
Now, what comes with it too? Like, don't a couple of games come with it now? Aren't there? Is it a $350 bundle, or is it just a pure $350? You just get the Xbox One and that's it.
I think it's the pure Xbox One bundle is $350, but I think also the not Drive Club. That's not even on this console. The Sunset Overdrive, and I think the Assassin's Creed bundle are both going to be $350. And even the Kinect one has dropped $50 too. Gotta get that Kinect, right? That's like makes the Xbox One. I want to play Fantasia and be like, that looks fun.
Anybody wants a Kinect for their Xbox One? I have one available. Cheap.
Well, look,
you
if
I probably get $100 or something for that on eBay, Rich.
Shut up, Brian. Yeah, if I get one for Christmas, I'll be calling you up, Rich, to get that Kinect.
Good to know, Brian Weedeye. What does Microsoft dropping the Xbox One price to $350 mean to you? What do you think it says about where the Xbox One is right now?
I don't know if it's going to, like, we've talked about this before when Microsoft was struggling in sales, and they had sales which wasn't it $400, and that included Destiny, or it included Titanfall, right, back in March. Mm-hmm. And you didn't really see a sales spike from that. I don't think Microsoft's problem is the price. Maybe if they got it to $300 or something. I think it's still in many people's minds, PlayStation 4 is the preferred console, and people remember what Microsoft tried to pull over on them, and that's a tough thing to overcome. And so I don't think it's a price issue with the Xbox One, unless they're going after people who already have a PS4. It makes it easier to get the second system. But they're so similar now. Like, somebody asked me on Twitter, which console would you recommend now? And they're so similar. Unless there's an exclusive game on one or the other, and unless you do care about the the resolution in certain third-party games. There's not much to differentiate the two anymore. So price, obviously, I think they're looking at the holidays, saying if a person walks into a store and sees the Xbox One for $50 less than the PS4, maybe that's what they grab. But I don't get the sense that they're at that place in the market yet where that's going to make a big, like everybody on the wish list, they know they want the PS4 or the Xbox One. I don't know if that many people are undecided about it, but we'll see. I just don't know if price is really the deciding factor right now.
Pete, Dodd, people were surprised when Microsoft moved the price of the console down again to $350. Should they have been surprised when the latest price drop happened?
Yeah, it's kind of unprecedented. At this point, there's been price drops in the past, but nothing this big in this short of a time. And a lot of people will say, and it's a technicality, and I understand that, like, removing the Kinect wasn't really a price drop, but it was. The reason why they removed the Kinect was to get an Xbox into your house at a cheaper price, and they just gave up on the Kinect as something that everyone has to own. And then to drop another $50 on top of that, so it's $150 at this point, down from what it was not even a year ago. I mean, it came out, like the 18th of November? Like $150 in a year is unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of. At the same time, though, I think it is going to help quite a bit in North America and in the UK specifically. I think that, though, I mean, this drop is only in North America. The UK's had its own drop over the summer. I think it is going to sell really well through the holiday, but I think it's going to end up being sort of like Nintendo, which is they do really well in the holiday with their console, and then it just flatlines the rest of the year. And this is supposedly a temporary price drop. So let's say you have money in January and you want to buy an Xbox One, and the system now costs $50 more than it did for the last 2 months. Are you going to buy that? Like, aren't you going to feel like an idiot at that point? Like, I'm looking to buy another Xbox One, and at this point I haven't jumped on it because they offered 2 free games with it in early September, and now I'm like, I'm not going to buy it even at $350. It's not the same deal that was. Like, when you lower the price, it actually kind of frightens people off in a way. It's like, well, I'm not going to buy it until it gets back to that.
TJ, what would it take for you to buy an Xbox One?
Someone to give me $350 or a Christmas present.
Really?
Well, I have a PS4. I can't justify going out and buying an Xbox One. For me personally, the games that I like to play, they're all on PS4. I don't like the Halos. I don't like the Gears of War. I love the Uncharted's. PlayStation 4 is my console. Even last gen, when I played the majority of my games on Xbox 360, all those games were multi-console. The console exclusive games that I did play were the PS3 console exclusive games. So PS4 and, hey, baseball. So if someone asks you which console to get, you say, do you like baseball? Yes or no. There's an answer. You know if they have to get the PS4 or not. And then you say, do you like Uncharted or do you like Halo? That's pretty much the next big decision after that.
2015 is going to be a different year than 2014, though, right? I mean, 2014, other than a couple of games, the consoles did not differentiate themselves very much, right? Like, there were not that many exclusives to either. There were a couple, Sunset Overdrive and Titanfall, Drive Club, and I guess The Last of Us Remastered. Pete, any other major exclusives for the PS4 this year that I can't think of at the moment? MLB The Show, obviously a big one.
Yeah, MLB The Show and Little Big Planet 3 both have very specific audiences. Like I was actually talking about this earlier with the Destiny group. They're like the choice right now for a kid's console between the two is the PlayStation 4, which is weird because they don't market it that way. But because of Little Big Planet 3, and because of a lot of indie games that are kid friendly, it actually, like, it appeals to that market as well as the older market. But for the older market, like, exclusive wise, I feel like the Xbox One has better exclusives with Sunset Overdrive, the Master Chief Collection, even though it's games that we've played before, but that's an insane value. Yeah. 4 games for $60 and unified multiplayer between all of them. I mean, that's a crazy package, you know. And Forza Horizon 2 is definitely the better game than Drive Club, even though I enjoy playing Drive Club more. It's Forza Horizon 2 works. So that's
Drive Club is your NBA Live.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, like, the Xbox One has the better exclusives right now, but they're not. It's nothing huge. Like, you know, like TJ said, like, do you like Uncharted or do you like Halo? Yes, we're getting, like, Halo, like old Halos right now, but we're not getting a new Uncharted or a new Halo until next holiday. And until then, it's kind of like the exclusives aren't that big of a deal, I don't think.
So I have a question here. Going back to SharePlay, to you, is that a feature that sells you on one console over the other? Because I was sitting down playing Sunset Overdrive and thinking to myself how I wish I could let other people into my Sunset Overdrive. Or I was playing Forza Horizon 2, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I could let so-and-so try this game so that maybe they'll buy it and play it with me more often. Because to me, I think that's a sellable feature for the system. Now, again, it may not reach everyone or it have the same impact with everyone, but man, I tell you, when I was playing my Xbox One, I was wishing I had SharePlay, and it's only been like, what, 4 or 5 days since the feature went out?
You know, it's an interesting question because none of us, it doesn't really, well, I guess it could potentially, apply to TJ, but it doesn't apply to the rest of us because we've already made our buying decisions the minute they came out. You know, I find myself fascinated because so often a lot of the questions asked about, well, does this make it worthwhile to buy? Does this make it worthwhile to buy? It's hard to put myself in the in the frame of mind of somebody who's making that decision, who's not like us, who are, you know, as soon as we possibly can, we're going to buy a new console. Like, a new console is coming out, we're on that thing, right?
When can we pre-order?
Once the price goes, once we get an official price, because that was me when the PS4 announcement was going on. I was like, just say under $500, and this Amazon pre-order will go in, no questions asked.
Right. That's right. You know, but so, I mean, who are the people out there that have not bought a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One? There are many
Not a lot of people
of them
because they're selling like hotcakes, right? So.
Well, that's the thing. There are many of them, right? So, what is the reason for somebody, you know, this holiday to decide to buy a new video game console? Is it the power of the console? Is it the exclusive games? Is it, hey, this thing lets me play, you know, lets me share play versus the other one doesn't? It's very difficult.
Where are my friends at? That's another big one.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to sort of determine that because to me, most of the people who are really into video games have bought their system. So this next wave, the second and third wave of people are in a different place. These are people who, like, their kids are probably not old enough to be able to have their own income, you know, but they're savvy enough to know the difference between an Xbox One and a PS4. You know, those kind of situations. So it's hard for me to sort of put my finger on what would make a buying decision for somebody now who hasn't already, you know, made that initial decision.
I think a main thing might be that the exclusive titles that they're used to playing last gen just haven't come out yet. Like we said, the the Halo Master Chief Collection. That's stuff that everybody's already played. So if you have an Xbox 360, you've played all your Halo games, and you're not super excited for that, just the Master Chief Collection, maybe you wait until next year when the real Master Chief, the real Halo game comes out. Then you buy your Xbox One. I assume people have already made their buying decision on which console they're going to buy, and they're just waiting to pull the trigger on actually buying it. Like if you like the Uncharted games and you've already played them all, you're going to buy a PS4 for Uncharted, but there's no real reason to buy a PS4 today if you're a huge fan of Uncharted, because you're not getting anything until next year. And I mean, that's probably the biggest idea, because we haven't had many of the big franchises from last generation come over this year, except for your Call of Duties, and now your Assassin's Creed is going to have the first big this console launch. So that could be just what they're waiting for.
All right, next one from our good friend Man of Steel 3432, Dennis Butler. He says, I love the simplistic controls in NBA Live 15. Should 2K revamp the control scheme so we can do more complex combos? This is it's an interesting question, because our good friend Scott O'Gallagher, who is a producer on NBA 2K15, live tweeted during the show, I guess at one point when I was talking about NBA Live and 2K15, he said, X is still pass and square is still shoot. The simplicity is there, with a nice smile, right? So,
and that's how I play.
Well, that's how a lot of us play. I mean, that's how I do a lot of my playing of NBA 2K15. So I think, Pete Dodd, you might have something to say on this particular topic.
That's exactly my problem, and I don't think I explained this well enough. Is that the best way to play NBA 2K15 is to just use the basic controls. They have like 190 moves that you can use, but they're not advantageous unless you know the exact situation to use it, and you have to memorize that many moves, that many controller things in the right situation. Basically, you end up playing like, okay, I'm just going to ignore most of that. I'm going to learn one or two moves, and then I'm going to run up and down the court, and I'm going to play it in the most simplistic way possible. And the game doesn't seem like it doesn't reward high-level play. I don't feel like.
Brian Weedai?
Yeah, as far as simplifying controls, I think it's difficult when you get to it's easier for live because you're just starting out, or everybody's just starting back out with it. But when you get so deep into a game over 10 years or whatever it might be, that they've been developing that game and trying to cater not just to the people who play every year, but everyone else too, you kind of dig yourself a hole that I don't think you can get out of. You can't just make simplified controls, because the game relies so much on you having and executing all those different options. Now, I think I don't know if it's a matter of simplified controls. I think it's just a very complicated. There's so much going on. In NBA 2K, you have to consider so much more, maybe. But I was talking with Dylan about that when he was trying out the game today, and I'm like, okay, here's how you do this and this. You're probably not going to have much success at first with all that. So I don't know if it's about simplifying the controls so much as it is the game is just so complicated once it gets to a certain point, and it's for many people, they can't get beyond. It takes a certain skill level and a certain knowledge and a certain reaction speed and understanding of everything that's happening to take advantage of all those options at your disposal. And it's all so free-flowing that it changes. Everything changes in an instant. So it's, again, I don't know if it's the controls so much a problem with 2K. I understand the controls. I understand there's a lot of stuff that I don't do, that I don't get to, because I don't have a full grasp of that. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm punished for it. And so I think that's kind of the idea that 2K has, is we're going to offer all this extra stuff for the people who can utilize it, but you can play the game just running pick and rolls. You can play the game just running, using what I do, the D-pad for the quick plays, whether that's post up or cut or isolation or whatever. You can play the game that way. Now, if you play someone online that knows a lot more, they'll probably smoke you.
Good. They should. Right.
I don't think they do. That's my argument.
Okay.
Is that they don't, and I think FIFA's the same way. I mean, FIFA has all these moves that's like the 0-star, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. Like, I'm talking about special moves, not actual just core mechanics. But they have all these special moves, and there's about 5 of them that are useful, and there's a ton of them that might be useful in extremely specific situations, but so you either have to be a genius and just memorize everything, or all of that is worthless. Well, and that's how I feel in both games with the special moves. I'm not talking about the core gameplay. The core gameplay in both games is great.
Well, sometimes you may not know why something is happening. Like in FIFA, I've played people who have just beat me into the ground online. And I've said I don't know why that happened. Like, it may not be, like you said, move specific, but you can usually tell, okay, this person is just better at me in some way that maybe I can't quantify just by playing, but you know that they're doing something different than you. Right. So you probably get that in 2K also, but it is. I mean, it's like, I understand what you're saying, because if people aren't running down and doing these crazy, crossover, spin, dribbles, kick out to another guy who's doing some weird thing in the corner that gives them an open shot, but they might be able to execute an offense better.
Right. I think it's probably easier to exploit the AI in a sports game than it is to learn all of the advanced moves.
Yeah, you can find something that works even when you're not good, right? It's like going back into the Madden days where it's like all you had to do was run a corner route. You find stuff that works for you, and then you go back to it.
The thing that where I used to be was that I used to find NBA 2K in particular, and I'm not talking recently, but 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, unnecessarily difficult. I've done a complete 180. I love the fact that they offer all of those moves where you have to press 2 or 3 buttons exactly the same way. You have to tap, hold, and then do this, or tap, hold, tap, and do that. I love that. Not because I'll ever use it, but because all you have to do is go to the Operation Sports forums and look around for 20 seconds, and you will realize that there are many people who do. And the fact is that with all of the really 3rd and 4th level moves that you give people the options to do, by giving people the opportunity to take the time to learn how to do it, and then to take their favorite players and do the things that only that player can do on the court in that certain situation, I think is brilliant. And I think basketball in particular is the most important sport to offer that to. Soccer being the second. Basketball gives you more of an opportunity to define your personality and the things that you can do than any other sport. Like in the NHL, you can't, other than a couple of things, right? You can't really truly define personality-wise what one player can do differently than another. In the NFL, what's that?
I said that's false, but go on.
No, tell me how that's false.
In the NHL, there's many different play types. There's many different ways of controlling the puck. There's many different ways of deking people out. I mean, I don't know how that's any different than any other sport. But
Alex Ovechkin he's got a wicked slap shot, right? But it's not like when he takes a slap shot, it is wildly different than somebody else taking a slap shot. Yes, he's got a little bit more of a dip to his shoulder, and he raises his stick a little bit higher. You know what I mean? And he might have his own sort of personal goal celebration. But he is one of 400 forwards in the NHL, and 398 of those forwards, if you were just watching them, if they weren't wearing the jersey of their team and their name on the back of their jacket, you would have no idea what player it is. In the NHL, you could take, in the NBA, you could take the 12 best players in the league and not know who they are, what team they wear, or what team they play for, or what their last name is, and if you just watch them play for 10 seconds, you'd be like, oh, that's Kevin Durant, or oh, that's Russell Westbrook, or that's Kobe Bryant, or that's Darren Williams, or that's Paul Pierce. Like, you would know that just by looking at them. That's not the way that it is in the NHL. So my point is that each one of those players has extremely distinct things that they do well, moves that they make. And NBA 2K lets you do a lot of that if you want to take the time to learn how to do it. I'm never going to do it, but the fact that they give people the opportunity to do that, I think, is great. And the fact that if people do take 5, 6, 7 hours to learn how to do that, if they can figure it out and they can use it to their advantage, God bless you. Because there are people who buy one game a year and they will spend hundreds, if not thousands, of hours playing a game that year. And I'm glad that they have the ability to go that deep with those moves. Go ahead, Pete.
This will be my final complaining about this subject, but my feeling is that the curve to learning, like, it should just be a sort of straight line or a normal sort of just like rising. I feel like with NBA 2K, it's like either do basic moves or know exactly when to do every advanced move. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground. Like, the middle ground is probably where all of us are at, which is we have 4 or 5 moves that we go to out of the 100. Like, there's just a huge, like, okay, I'm going to do 4 or 5 moves, or I know every single move to do in every single, like, I just don't like the curve that NBA 2K has.
Okay. I can't argue that. I'm not going to argue that. I think it's time to move on to the next tweet. What do you say? This one is for TJ Lyerman. Does wrestling count for questions? And of course it does. If so, should 2K show more of the next-gen version based upon the poor reception of the last-gen version, which was universally panned? TJ Lyerman, should 2K be showing more of their upcoming wrestling game?
Yeah, but this is the same thing that we had last year with all the EA Sports games. They're not going to show off a ton of it until we get to like the week before. They're still going to try to make their money selling those copies of the last gen version. Go get it. Good game. Basketball's fun, or football, wrestling. You guys and your basketball talk got me so crazy that I spent $20 on VC for my player.
Oh. Buy him some good friends, DJ.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Maybe I should just spend it on clothes, and then I won't feel like I'm cheating the game, right?
Yeah.
All right, last tweet from Matt Nowitzki. He says, "Sliders. Why aren't there effects explained?" Brian, I presume you know a little bit more context around what he's referring to. Was it a conversation you were having with him, or do you know whether this is referring to a single game or just overall why the effect on sliders are not better articulated to those who like to go in and mess with them?
I don't know the context exactly, but I will tell you what I think based off of the tweet alone, and that is, there's a lot of stuff that developers don't really go out of their way to tell you how it works or why it works, or, how many years have we wondered, like, what is this ratings category in Madden actually do? And then they don't tell you, it's like, okay, sliders are the same way. Sliders, to me, why you don't hear a lot about them are because, not that many people use them. I mean, there are a number of people who use them in games, obviously, and there are plenty of people who go and download slider sets and stuff. But we're talking about, maybe 10% of people, if that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of complications there. I'm not sure if the developers sometimes even know what those do, because it's like, turn it down, and then we'll find out they're reversed somehow or something. So I think it's just something that's not really, a topic that that many people clamor for, or that developers are all that excited to talk about, because they want to put out a game that is perfectly balanced and does everything exactly the way it should. Sliders are almost like, here, correct our mistakes, and I'm not sure if they feel like that's disrespectful almost in a way or what, but I don't think it's really a topic that gets anyone excited for the most part. So it's not like they're going to do a blog on sliders. I wish there were more information though on things like that, things on ratings categories, all these things that the hardcore people get into doing or messing around with. There should be an understanding of what it does, and they just don't provide that for some reason.
Forget sliders. I still don't know how the wind works in Madden.
Oh. Well, in the past it was
like
wrong.
At the beginning of this year, it was like, I want to go with the wind, and that was the second and fourth quarter. But then a patch came out, and now it's the first and third. Like I don't even know what the wind does.
All I know is when I line up to kick, I know exactly where the ball is going, which I think is the best.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
All right. Well, this has been a show, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Scott O'Gallagher, for live tweeting me even more during the show, telling me that he's still confused. He's like, if both guys have the same stick skills, but one guy knows more hoops, then that guy wins much more. The game has never been more balanced or offered more authenticity from a schematic standpoint. Going 1-on-5 won't work in 2K15. Scott, you're watching. I appreciate that. Why don't we get together with you? Come on the show. Let's talk a little bit more about strategy and how to play well at NBA 2K15. Scott, you've been on the show before. Good guy. Might as well have you on if you're going to be live tweeting us right during the show. We look forward to that. So, Pete Dodd, where can people find you on the internet?
I am at doddscientifics.com. We have a really amazing community over there. We did a Destiny raid, if that hasn't come up yet, and we have Drive clubs, and we have a Madden League, and we have all sorts of different stuff happening there. And I'm also on Twitter at Pete Dodd.
Did you stutter there, or did I miss?
Just look right over there at the base of the name. TJ Larriman, congratulations on your amazing success with Extra Life.
Excellent. We did amazing.
Give us a quick wrap up on how you did and how people can still donate to the cause.
We did pretty good. I raised almost $2,000, almost doubling my initial goal of $1,000. The team as a whole raised over $12,000. Amazing. Greg Stewart on top of the team, as he's been every year since the team has been in existence. He's over $3,000. A handful of guys got over $1,000. We did a really great job. You can still go to thatsportsgamer.com/extralife to donate if you want to help out there. And you can find me on the mean streets of my park, rocking my newly 85 overall guy, who's now ready to dominate.
You're rated higher than me now.
Great.
What's going on? I'm at like 82 now.
I'm putting in work over here. My big power forward is going to be slamming on everybody.
This is how they make it happen. This is exactly how they make it happen.
Brilliant. But I'm almost like maxed out now, so I don't need any more. So good move. Yeah, find me on Twitter at thatsportsgamer, thatsportsgamer.com. That Sports Gamer Show is back. Me and Greg Stewart talked about our Extra Life extravaganza and all the fun we had, and rambled on about stuff like Tokyo Extreme Racer.
Yeah, it was great. I landed from Charlotte, spent 2 days, worked about 2 16-hour days in Charlotte. I landed on the way home. I was like, ooh, there's a new That Sports Gamer Show on. Listen to Greg Stewart and TJ Larriman make fun of me for being old and, making old man jokes. So I really appreciated that. Well done, Mr. Larriman.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's true. And Brian, we and I, obviously, Pastapadre, where can we find all the good stuff happening in the world of Pastapadre on the internet?
I actually no longer have an internet presence. All my accounts are deleted. I actually believe technology is evil. It's a dramatic shift in opinion. And so for all those people who are looking for me who can't find me, I'm sorry. You can find me. I go shopping at like Safeway and stuff. If you want to hear some opinions on gaming, That's where you'll find it now. It's just on the streets. So TJ rocks the streets in my park. You know, I'm going ground level here, Rich. I am grassroots and everything.
What is happening right now?
I just told him I got some shoes. I'm ready to go now.
I have. You guys have like Twitter followers. I now have like real life followers, and there's two of them. I have Rocky, my dog.
Can't get rid of him.
And my brother. And I tell them stuff, and they don't even pay attention. But so
it's like Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Twitter. I'm sending out messages. Nobody's listening anymore. So I apologize to all those who were looking for me or looking for opinions. You'll have to find them elsewhere.
That's a shame. That's a real shame. It's tough to win in the digital world when you have no digital presence. Just so you know.
I'll tell you what. Revenue from advertising is way down. I'm trying to sell space on my body for tattoos and stuff. I've seen that's worked for some people. So we'll have to see where it's going. I am open. Hey, if anybody wants to advertise, I'll wear your shirt, TJ.
Hey, I got shirts. I can send them out.
Yeah.
Is 2015 going to be a digital world or a Safeway world, though? I mean, you might be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's Microsoft is working on some things where they pretty much just digitally download into your brain, and I don't want to be a part of that, so I'm disconnecting. Gaming, goodbye, everyone.
Well, Brian, it's been a good run. Just
fun.
remember, before you leave, you are the one who actually has to hit the button to end the show. So if you don't do that, we're just going to be here for a really long time, and
this
it'll
is
get uncomfortable.
It's officially the end to me, probably as a person, as far as anyone is concerned. So I'll miss you all. I loved you all, and goodbye, everyone. Thank you, Rich, for hosting the shows.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great.
On an unexpected end, I must say.
I didn't see it coming.
I did not see it coming. But the good thing is we've always got Rocky. So turn around again real quick, Brian. There he is.
He is not impressed.
he is not impressed. He should have a Twitter account.
He's yawning.
He is yawning, which is also that's a very common reaction for anyone who watches the show. So
you can follow my dogs if you get them on Twitter.
Yeah, Rocky, hi. Say hello to the camera. If I do any further shows, it will just be this.
Okay. Well, that'll be all right. We're okay with that. Mm-hmm. So, well, we will miss you, Brian Weedi. Thanks for everything. Good luck at the Safeway. It's been a good run. Let me know. Let me know if there's anything.
Any good deals at the Safeway? Let me know.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I'll send you letters, guys. I just have to go buy some stamps at Safeway. So
good to know. All right. Well, other than that unfortunate end to Pastapadre, I want to thank everybody for watching us tonight. Joining us has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Mr. Weedi. Thank you, Mr. Lyerman. Thank you, Mr. Dodd, as always. And make sure you do what I do, which is every day go to Operation Sports, the benefactors of the Press Row podcast. Go to Pastapadre to check out the most important things happening in the world of sports games, because Brian is always on top of them. Go to Dodd Scientifics. Check out the forums. They're actually great. They're filled with people who like to talk about having fun playing video games. Imagine that. And go to That Sports Gamer, where TJ Lyerman is constantly streaming games and having all sorts of interesting conversations with the folks that he likes to hang out over there. He's got he's taking over basically since Brian is abandoning it. TJ's just taking over the digital empire. He's going to just run the whole thing from the mean streets of northern New Jersey. So, on behalf of Brian Weedi from Pastapadre, Pete Dodd from Dodd Scientifics, TJ Lyerman from That Sports Gamer, I'm Rich Grisham. Thank you, everybody. Hope you had fun. We certainly did, and we'll see you again real soon.